Hello, Internet. Thank you once again for joining me to talk life acting and vertical drama with another very special guest who is the lovely actor Ryan Larson, who you will have seen in many vertical dramas on your screens. So I'm going to ask Ryan to give a brief introduction of himself to you.
Okay. Hi, I'm Ryan. Is that brief enough?
That's really good. It's brief. Okay.
Um,
The life and
yeah,
times. Where are you from? Where were you
I
born?
was born in the States. I was born in California and raised in another state. It's called New Mexico. It's a bit of a desert, but it's beautiful in its own way. Moved back to California for university. Realistically, I moved there because that's where acting happens in the States and got into a good school there. So that was my ticket to LA. And then after university, the day I graduated, I went to my first acting class. My parents were with me, and they said, "Okay, congratulations, you did the thing, you got the degree. We'll take you anywhere you want in the city. Do whatever you want." And I immediately pulled up my phone and did a little Google search for acting classes in LA. And I found one that had a class that day, and I gave them an address, and they dropped me off, and I was wearing my graduation robe and everything. That was my first acting class.
Wow.
But I mean, because I've known that I've wanted to act since I was, you know, tiny. Really, ever since I knew what acting was, it appealed to me. And I did a bit of acting growing up, little bit of like school theater and such, um, but didn't really start pursuing it until after I got my degree.
Was there anyone in your family
Oh,
who
I think
was sort
no,
of in the profession? No, so it's just come from
no.
you. I love
To my
that.
knowledge, I'm the first. So that's
Yeah.
I wanted to move to LA when I was very little because, again, that's at least at the time that was where acting happened. Um, Now it's a bit more nuanced, which is great, and because that's what I knew I wanted to do. But where I'm from and in my family, it was kind of like not seen as that's not a thing that real people do. That's not a real job. So go get a degree, go get study something real, and I did. And I was kind of like filling out med school applications and thinking, is this what I want? I don't know. Maybe maybe now is the time. And didn't want to sort of give half effort to both things by trying to pursue both. Go to med school and try to do acting and
Yeah.
end up not really succeeding at either. So I said, well, now's the time. I have my degree. Mom and dad are happy, so I'm gonna give it everything I've got. And yeah, so I started studying to be an actor and doing a bit of work in film and television there. And then I got an opportunity a few years back to go to India to model. And I thought to myself, when am I ever going to see this part of the world? When am I going to get to travel to work? And I went and had the most amazing experience and loved it and thought I was leaving for 3 months and coming right back. And then my scouter said, "Hey, there's an agency." Oh, while I was in India, I should say, I booked a television series. So I did get to do acting while I was there for about 4 months, which was great and wild and insane. And I loved every second of it. And after my character died on the show, spoiler alert, the second time, um, my scouter said, "There's an agency in the Philippines and they're interested." And I said, "Oh, there's more." And all of a sudden, it felt like the whole world opened up. And that was my journey for a while. And when I was in the Philippines the first time, I actually booked my first vertical. This was years ago, right when they were first starting. So, like, I guess I got in early on that. And I did three in the course of about a year. And when I booked it, it was kind of, what everyone says, where there's like, I guess it's like TikTok, but with a movie. And I don't know, like, we don't really understand it until we do it. That was The Bride of the Wolf King. That was my first one. And then I modeled for the next 5 or 6 years. And, well, after that time, it was the next like 3 or 4 years. But when I was in Vietnam on a contract, I got an opportunity to audition for another vertical that was shot in Canada. And I sent in my tape. And they said, "It's between you and two other guys. The other guys are local." And I was like, "Well, thanks for the opportunity. This was fun." And for whatever reason, I thank my lucky stars. I was blessed to be cast in that. And I flew and I filmed it and had the time of my life. And I was like, "Oh no, I need to do a lot more of this. the best thing I've ever done. This is so much fun. And I've been very blessed in the fact that I get to do several of these. Currently, I am shooting one. We're halfway through shooting, but I am not allowed to tell anything about it. So,
Yes, when you were in India on the TV show, what was your character on the show?
I was a bad guy. So I was brought on to be the brother of the main villain on the show. I was only supposed to be there for a week. The way that worked was I was actually in India for modeling contract. And while I was there, my agency said, Ryan, there's a production in Mumbai looking for a foreign actor. And I said, perfect. And they said, who speaks Hindi? And I said, not perfect. And they said, try. And they gave me a script. And I was in Bangalore at the time, where most people don't speak Hindi, they speak Kannada. Different scripts, different language. And I found a guy at the gym from Delhi who was able to translate the script for me. So I had the translation, and he kind of did a recording for me so I could hear the flow of the sentences. And I memorized sort of the sounds, but I acted out the scene, and I sent him my tape. And a month later, found out that I booked it, flew to Mumbai for what I thought was a week-long shoot. I was going to come in and I was going to do some bad stuff, cut somebody's tongue out, kill some people, and then get killed by the queen. And I was like, that's a good week. Got a lot going on. Bad guy stuff. And then, like 2 weeks later, I was still on the show, and I was like, guys, I can't help but notice that I haven't died yet. And they said, oh, we'll see. We'll probably kill you tomorrow. We'll see what happens. And that just kept going. And 4 months later, I was still there. But it was a blast. I loved working with people on that crew. The cast, the crew, the juniors, which, side note, in India, they refer to background actors as junior actors, and I love that so much. Just amazing people. And as I went along, when I first started, I obviously didn't speak a lot of Hindi, and I didn't hide that, but I guess my agent did. And when I got there, I explained to them that I didn't speak Hindi, but I was going to do my best. And I would spend every day, basically, I would show up, I would do the first scene, and then I would go to my trailer, and I would just study Hindi for about 6 hours. And I had a tutor in the city who I would call, and I had Duolingo, and I had online resources, and I would just hunker down and study. And about 6, 7 weeks later, I was getting pretty good at the Hindi, and then they were increasing my dialogues until the end of the show. My character had gone from, well, we'll probably keep him for a week, to they put my face next to the Queen's face on the poster when the show comes up on TV, because they'd moved me sort of as during that arc the main villain until I died again. But yeah, it was a blast. It was wild shooting there, but I loved it. Every day was something completely new and crazy, and huge crew, huge sets, beautiful sets too.
And as an actor, is that the one that you've done the most dastardly deeds on? Is that my ultimate bad guy role? I did worse things there.
I've done a few bad guys. That one was pretty dastardly. Yeah, that was human trafficking, and that was it was slavery. There was a very sweet other actor that I got along with great. He's an older actor from India, who was on the show for a while, and he was there for a couple months before I got there. He's a smaller role, but he was in and out. And then I show up, and he sees me do something, like he sees me sabotaging something, and so I think my character beats him up, and then he gets found by the queen, and she's sort of nursing him to health, and I'm afraid that he's going to talk, so I sneak into the palace and I cut his tongue out so that he can't talk. And then the next, like a week later, I sneak back into the palace, and I ended up killing him. And it was so sad, because he's like, we have another scene today, and I'm glad I get to work with you, but I'm so sad because you killed me and I won't come back. And I was like, no, I hate this. So that was pretty dastardly, I would say.
Yeah, I can see that, particularly when you've got a bond with the actor. You're like, yeah, sorry, I've just ended your work contract. Sorry about that.
It's so sad when you have a longer term project, and okay, so like with verticals, for example, they're not longer term projects, but 7 to 9 days usually. And my least favorite part of the shoot is always like starting around day 6, day 7, day 8, because you just start losing people. Their character dies, or their days are done, and it's just they leave, and it's the saddest part. So when you're on a long term show and somebody's character gets killed off. It's like, no, I hate this.
So basically, yeah, as the set goes on, then basically everyone's at the beginning, and then slowly it goes down to, I guess, the core characters by the end.
Well, so shooting
And
episodic is different than shooting like a vertical or a film, because obviously with verticals we shoot them out of order. We shoot them in what's most convenient for locations and people's schedules and timing and stuff. So we might shoot the very end of the film as the first scene, and then the first scene of the film might be the very last thing that we shoot. So it's just people are there throughout. When you're shooting episodic, you know, as the series progresses, you shoot the next episode, the next episode, the next episode, and then somebody dies right here. And even though we've already shot all their stuff, they don't get like a shoot the beginning of the film at the end. So that's it. But in verticals, yeah, usually the leads are there every day. Sometimes some of the supportings are there most of the days, and then people pop in and out. But we just had yesterday one of our characters, played by a lovely actress. I think she's number 4 on the call sheet. She was done after day 5. She's like, I only exist within this house. We're changing locations, and so we had to say goodbye.
that must be tough. So when you came to Canada to do that first vertical, you must have been quite in a unique position of like, well, I've done these back in the day. I know all about verticals, but now the rest of the world has caught on.
I would say I knew all about verticals. I would say like, oh, I've done a vertical before. I've done a few of these, but like maybe it's different now. I don't know. I mean, I never dare to assume that I know more than anyone else, especially on a film set. It's that collaboration that makes it so magical. But I was just excited to get to do it again because I had such a good time doing it in Asia that when I got to do it here in the West, it was my first time doing it in the West. That was actually Breaking the CEO's Playroom. So of the cast, I think I was one of the only ones who had done a vertical before at that point. So I was in a unique position of having a rough idea of how this works. And our lead actress, who was wonderful, that was Sam Fronton, she came from theater background. So she'd never done a film before. So she had like a totally different process and a totally different plan. And she was like, I don't know how to memorize 108 pages by Monday. And I was like, sweetie, no. We don't have to do that. It's different. We're in a different space now. So it's been a fun process to kind of like learn from each other and figure it out together.
And what was it about that one? Because you said that kind of that was like captured your heart and you were like, this is what I need to do. What was it about that experience? Can you encapsulate that?
Maybe it was just timing, honestly. Just like I'm in a space where I'm really available and excited to dig into acting. Previously I was like on modeling contracts. I was actively working and things and writing. And at the time when I booked that one, I actually just booked a modeling contract. But like the week after I got to Vietnam, I flew to Canada. There was just something about it. It just like reignited that excitement for acting, for filmmaking, for telling stories. And I was like, you know what? I gotta do more of this. And I ended up messaging the casting director who booked me on that one like a month later. And I was like, what do I need to do to cast for another one of these? Like, how do you post things on certain services, or how could I do an audition for another one? And he sent me another audition for one that they had coming up after that, which I was very blessed to book as well. And I was like, I get to go back. And I was just so excited. I mean, when I was younger, I dreamed of flying away to exotic places like Canada to film and to work. And I've had that amazing privilege for the last several years of my life. So I feel in a very blessed position. And just something about that, like I said, it just reignited that passion, that excitement that I may have always had for acting, but kind of took a backseat while I was doing other things.
So the CEO's Playroom, that's got to be one of the biggest ranking verticals of all time. It's got to be up there for the amount of
people
views.
have seen it, maybe.
Yeah, there's a lot of people seen that. When do you get told? When do you kind of become aware that like this isn't just like a vertical that's getting watched? This is one that has gathered a huge amount of views.
I don't know. I generally gauge those things based off of what people message me on social media. Honestly, I don't really No, to be honest. I mean, I find out that a new one's dropped because somebody messaged you. You'll message me and be like, "Hey, what can you tell me about this vertical?" I'm like, what happened? I have no idea what came out." And then I find out from you or somebody else that like another one has
Yeah.
dropped, and that I can talk about it because I'm we have NDAs. We're not allowed to talk about anything until it comes out. Um, I guess I find out that it's doing well based on just reaction and views and general excitement. I rely mostly on your reviews. It's not like
I'm really sad for you that that's the best we can offer. My random
no, it's I
reviews.
actually love that you guys. I love that you do that because it as creatives. Sometimes we do things. We do these passion projects, or we do even other projects, and we have no idea. It disappears in the ether. Maybe it does some festivals, or it's online for some platform, and we have no idea what happens, and we don't know if anybody sees it. And that's we I like to think we all pour our heart and souls into every single role and every single character. And it's like there's every set. There's memories of like this scene destroyed me, but I did it for the movie, for the character. Sort of seeing people appreciating that in some capacity is so fulfilling. It's more than just the validation of yay, people like me. It's the people like the story that we told. They like the work that we do. And it's something to really be proud of. It also makes it all worthwhile. There's I can talk about this now. The movie's out. Yay. NDA is over. For Time Me
Yeah.
Up, which was one of the more recent ones that came out, there was a scene. A lot of people message me. There's a scene where uh, Phoebe, played by the wonderful Maddie Morelli, is on the ground. She's just twisted her ankle, and my character comes in and he scoops her up off the ground with one arm, and he's doing this princess carry. The other arm's holding her purse, and he walks off carrying her. It's very romantic and very swoon-worthy moment. A lot of people messaged me about that, about the one-arm carry, and so we shot that
Yes.
scene at 2 o'clock in the morning at the end of a very long day. It was the last scene of the film, or last scene of the day at the end of a very long week. And this is not a reflection on the production or the stunt coordinator or anybody. This is just Ryan being tired. But I'm like, take 5 or something of this shot in coverage. I picked Maddie up and I felt a little pop in my back, and I went, whoa. And I looked at her and I was like, darling, I'm going to put you down now. Not finish the scene. I was just tapped out. I was done. But we did get the shot. So we really do put everything out there for the movie.
I reckon it was the handbag's
It
fault.
was the handbag. Maddie is very light
Handbag.
and wonderful. And then
Exactly.
I
It's
picked up this
these
bag and it's just
vertical
full of
handbags.
rocks, I
The
think.
weight of the expense
I had
of
no
them.
idea it's like bricks in the bag.
So talking about vertical tropes, I mean, it's actually really good that you brought this up because I never asked one about this. That is something that happens in most verticals. You have the male lead carries the
There's a
female.
lot of that.
Are there certain shots that they kind of want to get?
Oh, yeah.
Because it sounds like I'm told there's certain angles that they know that they need to get.
For a
Presumably it's quite
carry?
technical arranging it and just getting everyone in shot.
Perhaps. Or that there always seems to be like, for whatever reason, she's either unconscious, she's fallen, she's on the ground, or she's just in bed, and he comes and scoops her up and picks her up and carries her off. There's always that shot. There's always um often it's in the kidnapping, she's tied to a chair, he unties her, scoops her up, carries her off. So
Yeah.
I couldn't tell you for sure what like angles or shots we always get. Truth be told, I have not seen most of the verticals I have been in. But there are definitely things where it's like, oh, here comes this part that we shoot in many of these verticals. There's just certain things that are fan favorites that people love to see. We have those, those swoon-worthy moments that people. That's why people like watching it. Is it's a feel good. So we do hit them.
I think there's like a recognition that people like as well. There's like a comfort of certain things coming up. So, like for instance, the worrying trend of obviously trying to walk in high heels and the trip
Oh yeah,
and the catch. You must have done a few of
uh,
those saving the
yeah.
lady.
The things that female leads have to trip over in verticals. Sometimes it's just the heel. Once it was a stapler, just a stapler. Um, I've seen it. I've seen like the cord of a computer, just like things that they walk over, they just trip over. There's
Yeah.
always on the
Because there's
side of
quite a
head.
lot of stunt acting going on, isn't it? Because these ladies, I mean, first of all, you're in heels, which
Oh
obviously
yeah,
actresses have spoken about is not comfortable. And then you're doing that. And then often they're doing their own swimming pool stunts.
usually yeah.
Have you had,
Every
yeah,
once in a while, an actress will have the ability to have a double, and that sometimes that only happens if the stunt coordinator is female, about the same height and about the same look. Um, but these girls are troopers. Most of the ones I've worked with have done their own stunts. They're throwing each other around on the floor. They're being pushed into the pool and fake drowning.
yeah.
I've worked with amazing people, and I have my hat is off to all of them.
I was just suddenly aware of like, that's actually, you just accept it.
I
And
mean,
I'm
yeah,
suddenly like, that's really hard to have to fall over and then trust that someone will catch you and get it
you
all on
fall
film at the
over
right angle.
often into a pool, always in a gown. You have to not drown. And heels. And so you trip in the heels and gown into the pool and have to come up and then not actually drown. It's impressive.
Yeah, it's phenomenal. So what about you? What would you say are the most stunts that you've done
I
in
say I usually
verticals, like the most
don't
action
do them in
scenes?
heels, but
Yeah, not in heels.
um, with the most stunts I've done on a vertical, it's called The Mafia's Innocent Lover. That one has easily the most stunts that I've done in a vertical. It's a very mafia movie. It's very it's sort of a toxic love story. It's very drama, and the romance is really really beautiful, really lovely. I worked with an amazing actress named Sarah Egan. She's German, and she was fantastic to work with. So the romance there is beautiful, but it's obviously it's the push pull of the sort of scary mafia lead and the young debutante. But there were so many stunts in that. We shot that over 7 days, which was amazing and impressive that we got that done. But we did we did hand to hand fighting. There was knives. There was a lot of firearm stunts. We had stunts on set every single day of that shoot, and we had amazing stunt coordinators who helped us. There was horse stunts on that one. Yeah,
That feels new.
I got to ride a horse. I was so excited. Um,
That's very
there's a moment
cool.
where he
Yeah.
pulls her. I don't believe this gives anything away. He pulls her up on the horse with him. It was my first time being on a horse with another human being also on the horse, so that was exciting and new for me. Um, yeah, that was definitely the most stunts I've done. Oh, we did a shot in the. It's funny. It's a weird week in LA that when I went there, it was rained almost every single day, and we one day that was beautiful, just standard LA springtime glorious weather. And I look at the schedule and I was like, ah. And we're shooting the scene where it's raining, and he's t- talking to her in the rain. Comes to her, and I was like, ah. And I look out, and they just have these hoses rigged up on these stands, and they're just shooting water in the air. So it's just even though the day it was beautiful, it was pouring down rain. So it was a great shoot.
We've noticed sort of as viewers that definitely verticals are getting more
They
ambitious. The fact that
are.
you're mentioning the amount of stunts you just have, it seems that yeah, everyone's trying to really up the game, which is really impressive, but I guess makes it even more demanding when you're on such a tight schedule and long days.
It is, but I mean, it's a very different schedule than shooting episodic or most films, or even short films have a more relaxed schedule than we have. Generally speaking, we're shooting 15 plus. Sometimes it's 12 to 15, 12 to 18 pages a day, which is a lot of script to get through. And I mean, oftentimes in episodic or in film, you're shooting 3, so 15 is a lot. And you add to that stunts, you add to that intimacy scenes where it's just you, the other actor, the director, and the intimacy coordinator. So that takes time. So you have to rehearse things, you have to choreograph things, and then you have to review things, and they're sensitive, and so the ad stunts, they take time. And what I love is that as the industry is growing and as people are appreciating it, the audience is demanding more. So the filmmakers are both demanding more of themselves and also presenting it. They're finding new ways to shoot in this space. They're finding new ways to frame stories and to use the off-screen space and to show things in a different way. And so when we started Verticals years ago, a lot of what you would see was really just just that, basically you and me talking, just this shot of me, that shot of you, this shot of me, that. It's not very exciting.
Yeah.
And now they're getting so ambitious. I don't think I've been on a vertical in the last 6 months where one of the cameras wasn't always either on a dolly or in a steady cam or flying around. We're using drones on this current shoot. Like, we're getting a lot of really great, unique filmmaking. They're using all the tools and pulling out all the stops to really make this a great medium. It's not just, it's just like, we'll tell a little story with very basic filmmaking and make it happen. And they're doing all this on a 7 to 9 day shooting schedule. It's phenomenal how hard everyone works.
So one project I really wanted to ask you about was the Heiress and Her Lying Beast, which came out recently, and I really enjoyed.
Yeah.
I thought, because we've talked about, just you've explained brilliantly, just like visually, how verticals are evolving. But I thought this one was a really good example of verticals evolving in the storytelling and the layers in a relationship and the characterization, because it's a really interesting two-hander between your character Aaron Christopher and sort of the lead female Vivian, because it's like, it's a proper, I feel like there's more time for them to fall in love and form a relationship, because often it's quite rushed onto the next thing.
Yes.
And instead basically he actually woos the lady. This does not happen
does.
often. He makes dinner. There's an effort. He takes on a date.
With one very big exception that is in the title. Aaron is kind of a walking green flag, he takes the time to like romance her. It's not like she proposed the contract because she needs the marriage for her heiress situation. It's not, okay, I'll marry you because I need money for this. It's like they have an understanding, and he's fascinated by her and intrigued by her, and also obviously he has his own motives, but they actually do have that time to like get to know each other, fall in love. Like, I think the first time he makes her dinner, she looks at him and she's like, "You don't have to do all this." And he's like, "Yeah, but I want to." Like, he wants to be a good husband to her, even though it's just a contract marriage at the beginning. And I love that. I love that we're telling more stories about different types of love and showing that sort of slow burn romance, or we get the pleasure of letting that story build and build and build and build. It's not just like, "Hi, I see you, now we're married," and it's terrible and it's abusive and it's awful, and then they fell in love.
Yeah.
So
And also, because the writing's so good, as you said, obviously it's in the title that he's lying, but it's kind of one lie. It's a big lie, but it's part of something he's been doing
it's
for
part
4 or
of
5
something
years.
that's very important, and you get it. And
It's a long.
maybe he doesn't go about it in the best way, but it makes sense. It's not like, it's not like something that's totally unforgivable.
Yeah. I think that's the thing. And because it's well written enough, it does that. And also there's an absolutely fantastic line that I think your assistant, CEO's assistant, is very important, says to you about, basically, it's not just justice, it's art.
Yeah.
Like the revenge that you do. It's such a good line.
And I believe I respond with "It's vengeance." So
It's vengeance. But yeah, it's a really good line. And I think those are the kind of the details they're adding. Are you seeing that in the scripts as well?
I
That's
am
coming
seeing
through?
the scripts improve. Even in the last 6 months, I've seen the scripts improve, because they come in. Sometimes we get scripts that they already existed as a Chinese language vertical, and we're sort of doing an English language version, or sometimes it's based off of a previous story. And we get these scripts that come in, and sometimes they're, in my opinion, they're lovely in how they're written initially, and then they just get sort of like Google translated to hell. And then we look at it, we're like, but fortunately, I've worked with great teams that spend the time to localize it and to make it make sense. And then I've worked with great actors and great directors who we dive in, and we find that really nice story underneath. And I have seen just in the last 6 months how the writing has improved in verticals pretty drastically. And that is, I think, the biggest, that's going to be the biggest change coming in the next probably 6 to 8 months of verticals, is is that improvement in the writing as they're using more Western writers, as they're doing a better job of porting the Asian stories over to Western culture and English language or French language or whatever language we're shooting them in. That I think is going to be the biggest change, and has been the biggest change that I've seen, is how much things make more sense, and how much work goes into making sure that they make sense.
That's a really interesting point, because I think that I always feel there's a slight danger that if we go too localized with the scripts, I think it's great, but you lose some of the charm of the fact
You
that
do,
it's quite
you do.
timeless stories that are coming over from China.
So,
And I think some of the appeal is that the stories are a bit different.
yes. There are things that, obviously, there are tropes and things that we love in verticals. There are things that we don't love and we want to see less of. Everybody knows that. Everybody's very vocal about that. However, part of the charm of the vertical space is I sort of have a mantra on set, which is embrace the camp, because there is a campiness to this format, to the reality of the universe that you're living in the vertical land, and you just gotta dive in and embrace it and be like, "Yep, this is how the world works here." And when you do, it just becomes fun, and it's fun for the
Yeah.
actors and the directors, and it's fun for the viewer to watch. When you fight against it, that's when it just doesn't work. But when you tell a great story and everyone does their absolute best, and you give honest, great performances, hopefully, while embracing that little bit of campiness, with just some of those lines that are just, they make you do one of these, but in the best way possible. You're like, oh, it's so fun. That's what we like.
So yeah, that's it's really good that you kind of get that, because I think that's one of my views of, yes, we want to expand it and have more stories, but
We want to keep
if we
we want
totally
to keep the
lost that,
charm, you know.
if we lost the fun and the charm, you lose the reason why a lot of people come to verticals
I
initially and
agree.
aren't being served by other formats, because they want escapism, they want dopamine, they want something a bit different.
Yeah, I
So
agree.
I have to ask you, suits.
Suits.
I presume, having played a few billionaires, you've had access to some very nice suits.
I have worn a great many suits. Most of the time,
Would you like to wear a bit of variety? Because
when I start these, so we always do a fitting beforehand, to make sure that everything is proper. And usually in a vertical, I would say I run through anywhere between 12 and 15 suits or suit equivalents per project. These wardrobe stylists are doing a phenomenal job of finding unique and appropriate clothes that fit every actor. That's just my wardrobe. Then they have gowns for the girls. Then they have uh, the mom's wardrobe and the evil girl's wardrobe. They do this for 15 characters. It's insane, and on the same tiny schedule and budget that we all work on. So it's very impressive. I actually have a lot of fun. So I think my two favorite wardrobe sort of genres, I guess, have been the mafia ones, because it's like a suit, but it's a little more stylized. You might get that like pinstripe vest with a really snazzy tie. And you get those cufflinks. It's just a little bit, a little more exciting,
a bit of an
a
edge.
little bit of an edge. It's business
Yeah.
suit with an edge, and I love that. But if you really want business suit with an edge, it's been really fun playing CEOs that are DOMs, because they always get business suit with an edge. You might have like a leather tie underneath. You might have suspenders with the silver hardware, as just a little feature with the dress suit underneath. Like, it's just, that's been a lot of fun to explore and to play with and to find that space. So when I come in for a fitting, I see something like, oh, this is so cool. I love this, and then I can't show it to anyone until the movie comes out.
Have you kept anything? Have you bought anything from wardrobe?
No, I mean,
Because
no.
I've had a few actors say, "I like the suit, I'd like to buy it," and then they find out how much it is and go, "No, I won't be buying that."
I mean, I'm wearing them right now. I kept these slippers. So these are my set slippers, because we change shoes so often on set that I think it's crucial for actors to have, like, and also we shoot in a lot of like houses that are just
Mm,
people's homes that we're using as the estates and stuff. So not everything's a
yeah.
set. Sometimes it's just a person's home that's lending out their family home that you could shoot in. And so we don't do shoes in those houses. You know, everyone comes in, they take off their shoes, they wear some sort of inside shoes. So I have my indoor shoes, my set slippers that our lovely, amazing wardrobe stylist D on the first vertical I did here gave to me. And at the end, I was like, "Can I keep these?" And they went, "Oh yeah, those are for you." And I was like, "Yes." I bring them to every single set, and they usually make it in the movie at some point. He's drunk, or he's at home, or he's checking in on her in the bedroom, and I'm always wearing these slippers. It's just it's fun. It's nice.
I have to ask as well about the silk pajamas,
Mm.
because I've had people message me about why men in verticals are always given the silk pajamas. Now I know because I've watched a lot of Chinese drama and they're always dressed in silk
I've
pajamas
never
there,
worn
so it's
silk
clearly
pajamas
a
in a
fashion
vertical.
thing. Have you never?
No.
Have you? You're missing
I
out.
am, because you know what they give me? They're like, okay, you know how many verticals I've done where it's like, okay, Ryan, you have two wardrobes in this: business suit, towel. That's it. No middle
Oh,
ground.
wow. Actually, I want to ask about the towel.
Yeah.
Like, presumably, have you done that in most
Not
verticals?
most,
And
but
I
I
kind
think
of,
for beer,
are you okay with it? Because I could see that you're a bit like, really? Do we have to do this again?
I'm quite comfortable with it. I mean, I come from the modeling world. I'm also aware of there was a certain look that they want in their male leads. There is a certain reason that some people watch verticals. I'm aware of the appeal. I I know my purpose and my job here. So like I have a gym membership that I have to go to. It's
Yeah.
I think I did one vertical here. It was after divorced. That one I was not shirtless at any point. I believe the producer was like, "Is Ryan not take a shirt off in this?" And they said, "No, it doesn't call for it. It's never happens in the script." And I went, "Oh, make sure he does in the next one."
What have we done?
And
We hired Ryan
the
and we
next,
failed
I
to.
think the next vertical was the lying beast, and there's literally parts of this, there's so much gratuitous abs in that one. There's parts of the script where it's like close up abs. It's just like, okay, I know my job.
Okay, so basically they were trying to like even it out for the
Yeah, you
fact
know,
that they
you
hadn't done
a
enough
little
in the
bit of
previous
that.
one. Well, yeah, that's it.
Me, it
I
doesn't
just have
bother
to
me.
ask, how
I think
how
it's
are the
totally fine. Good.
towels secured? Just like,
So I mean, you wrap the towel around, you tie it like normal. If we're doing a lot of moving around, which usually sometimes those scenes you just walk in and say something, whatever. But sometimes
yeah.
it's like, okay, now he tackles her onto the bed, and then they roll around, and you're like, hmm. And on those ones, we use safety pins to keep that towel in place.
How easy is it keeping a straight face? Because I can see that some of these things are quite.
That's the
You've got
fun
to
part.
censor yourself.
It's so fun because we're having so much fun on the set that often we're laughing and we're telling jokes and we're having a great time. And I'm in a very privileged position right now because I'm working with an actress that I've previously worked with, which is amazing, and I'm so happy for that. And I'm working with a DP, director of photography, that I previously worked with, and a couple members of the crew I know, and from different other verticals. And so we're having a blast. We're laughing. We're telling jokes, and immediately the scene starts. You just like lock in, and you're like, we can't stand for this. They must. You're just super serious. And then as soon as we call cut, we're just laughing again. That's just part of the job.
See, that is the perfect answer. You've just told me because I'm a professional,
Because I'm
Jen.
a professional, Jen.
That's exactly.
Know
So
how
yeah,
to do
so
my
let's make
job.
it up. No. Um, Talking about that, is that because this is something people come back to? Obviously, you've worked in modelling, you've done all sorts of film sets, but it seems to me that everyone on a vertical set, it just seems genuinely the community is full of lovely
I
people.
think it
Just
takes a
genuinely.
different kind of person to want to do this. I mean, everybody wants work, and we do work because we
Mm.
need work, but also, we all do film because we love it. There are easier ways to earn a living than working 12 to 15-hour days. Trust me.
Mm.
But it's just, I don't think I've encountered anybody in the vertical filmmaking space that wasn't just so perfectly lovely. It's
Mm.
like we're here and we're all aware that what we're doing is soapy and campy and fun, and that translates on set, and that shows on set. And it is the best time, and I'm so excited. I've never worked with a crew that I didn't absolutely love. I've never worked with actors in this space that I haven't absolutely loved. And I think we are attracted to that soapy, campy fun. Even when it's serious.
I'm sure that
Even when I'm,
I'm,
crying my eyes out. We don't call cut and immediately start laughing at that point. But overall on the shoot, like, we can have those moments because there are those fun, silly moments. And then when we lock in for the other moments and it gets serious, and you have you feel safe to go that place and to be that vulnerable in a room full of 30 people that are all watching you. They're all doing their jobs, but they're watching you intently for various reasons. And you feel safe to get that vulnerable with them because of that camaraderie, that connection, that space that you've created together.
I'm sure that must be partly why verticals have been so successful. The fact that obviously you are all happy and you bringing out the best of each other in obviously quite constrained circumstances, and it just makes you more creative and brings out the best. You all get on.
It's not all
Sense I get.
sunshine and roses. We do shoot a lot of pages, and we do have long days, and we do occasionally hit overtime, and there's moments of stress, just like in any job, but we're able to get through that because of that. Honestly, because of the people, because people are so great. It's easy. You overlook the things of like, oh, this was a rough day. We'll get it tomorrow.
Yeah. And what's your technique with the script then? Because I know that scripts can change a lot whilst you're on set. And obviously, you'd mentioned earlier on that someone was like, I need to learn all this at the beginning. You were like, no, that's not how we roll.
Yeah.
So what's your process of day to day of managing the script?
My process might be different than others. I mean, so we don't often have the scripts early enough to like really have it. It's not a theater production. We don't have the 6-week rehearsal process to memorize the script and learn all our moments and figure everything out. So a lot of that work has to happen individually in the 2 days from booking it to starting. These are so last minute right now that we often don't have almost any time of preparation as the actors. So for me, I mean, by the time we start shooting, I've read through the script cover to cover 6 or 7 times through. I do an initial read to read it. I do an initial read to like break things down, to find important moments that happen over the course of the script, to find sort of like arcs and things, to make decision points for characters. Like so I've read the script, every word of the script, 6 times by the time we have our first day of shooting. So most of the time I go scene by scene. So, whatever scene's next, that is the scene that I'm going to memorize. And I mean, there's times when I have the luxury of having time ahead of time to, make sure I'm 100% on my lines before I step foot in the building. But there's also times when we finish shooting at 2:00 in the morning and our call time the next day is at 10:00 in the morning, and you got to sleep at some point, you got to wake up, got to drive to set, and then go. And there's another 15 pages to shoot. It's just, for me, that's just not possible because the way that life works. So I go scene by scene, and I have, at this point, I've read this scene 6 times. I know it backwards and forwards. I may not know the actual words, but I know the flow of the scene. It will make sense. So it's really easy at that point for me to get the dialogue. I am blessed in that one of my strengths is memorization. It's how I got through university, just memorize and regurgitate, forget things. And then, that tends to be what works best for me. But also, it doesn't always behoove us to have everything perfectly 100% memorized before we get there, just because things change on set. I was shooting a scene yesterday where I'm giving this big rousing speech to a crowd full of people. We decided the speech wasn't rousing enough, so in the 5 minutes before we shot the speech, sat down with our wonderful director Jill, and we rewrote the speech and changed the order of things and completely switched it. So all of a sudden, now I have 4 minutes to memorize a new speech, and that's just part of the process. So that kind of thing becomes easier because as I'm going scene by scene, I'm kind of used to that. I'm trained for that. So that tends to work best for me. But it's funny because you brought that up earlier, because a lot of the co-leads that I've worked with on the verticals are trained actresses that come from theater. And so they're used to having like a 4-week rehearsal process and having to be off book for everything and memorizing. And a lot of them, the vertical I've done with them has been their first. And so they're like approaching it like, okay, how do I approach this like a theatrical production? Do we shoot this start? It's like a whole different beast because of the way that we shoot out of
Yeah.
order and because of the way that we work.
Yeah, I can see it's quite a new skill set. I just wanted to ask you as a comparison, because I spoke to another actor who'd also done some Bollywood, and he said he thought that was the closest comparison to
That's
verticals
fair.
of just the speed, the amount of stuff going on, the fact it feels chaotic, but then it all just comes together and it's this miracle. But particularly the pace was what he was
Yes.
talking about. Would you say something similar
I
yourself?
would. I think Bollywood. I think any kind of soap opera would be a fair comparison too, just because the sheer number of pages a day you're shooting, because the speed that you shoot most of the time with soaps, with daily serials, with like Chansi Kirani that I did in India, with verticals, you have one, maybe two takes per camera setup to like get it. So we just don't have time to keep going. So you gotta nail it on one to maybe two takes. That's it. Because then they have to change coverage. I mean, I had when I was shooting the one in LA, there was one scene that I shot. I don't fully remember which scene it was, but I remember I looked at our director Alice, and I was like, "Oh man, I know I can get we got one more." And she's like, "No, we got it." And I was like, "Are you sure? Because I really would love one more." And she's, "Nope, we got to move on." It's like, oh, just kills you. So you really got to nail it on
Yeah.
like that 1 to 2 takes. You know, if the second AC comes up and the slate says, take 3, that something's going on. If it says take 4, then we have messed up because the
Yeah.
speed is just
Okay.
so quick. In India, India was particularly wild. India was great training for verticals, honestly, because we'd show up to set and I would go into hair and makeup, then I would go into wardrobe, and then I would go down to set. Then somebody would hand me my script for the day. I would look at it for about 30 seconds and they would say roll, and I would say wait. And we'd shoot the first scene, and then we would shoot all day. We shot 26 pages or so on average a day because we shot an episode a day in India.
Wow.
And then we'd finish shooting at like 6, 7 p.m. Then we would go do our own ADR. That's our, sort of our voiceovers and our redubbing our own lines because noises and planes and sounds. And then at 8:30 it was on TV that night. So you gotta nail it in 2 takes because we do not have tomorrow because it is on TV tonight. So that was fantastic
Wow.
practice.
So actually, verticals are a bit slow for
I
you. It's
know
like,
it's
oh, it
easy.
took a few weeks.
We only
I'm
shoot
used to it in the
we only
evening.
shoot 12-hour days. We get 2 takes sometimes. We can come back. We
Yeah,
miss a scene and add it tomorrow. Yeah, we didn't have that luxury in India, so it was great practice for this.
that's amazing. What else have you got coming up that
Um,
I know there's probably not much you can say.
so let's see. We've got the Mafia one coming. I'm currently on one that is Mafia coded. I can tell you that much.
Hmm.
That one's going to be a little further out as we have not finished filming. We will finish filming that next
Yeah.
week. I am attached to 2 more projects that I cannot talk about, but they will be filming in the month of July. And then I have one more that should be out literally any day. I have no idea when it's coming out, but that one was filmed around the same time or I think that was actually filmed right before Lying Beast. So that one should be coming out shortly. What can I say about that one? What am I allowed to say about that one? That one is beautiful. I love the way that was filmed. Um,
Mm.
they our DIT guy, that's our data input tech, who's in charge of like we have our DMT and our DIT, and I think it was the DIT who was in charge of like coloring and making sure it looks proper and putting out everything together. Put together a little like sizzle that is not anywhere because it's not allowed to go anywhere. And he showed it to me on his phone. He's like, "Look," and it was just a 3-minute little like bit of the half of the film that we'd shot so far. And that one is great. That was and I cannot wait for that to come out because I know it's going to be good. That one's gives you the feels. I'm so excited for that. We worked with a wonderful director named Sid Zanferlin for that one. Very much an actor's director. Um, maybe too much of an actor's director. He's a great director, great guy. Loves working with the actors, loves getting involved in the process. And then, like, we do our blocking, then we go to hair and makeup, and we turn, and he'd be right there, and he's like, "So I want to talk about the scene." I'm like, okay. But because of that, we were really able to like focus on performance and focus on storytelling, both through our performances and also through the movement of the camera. So it was really big on movement. So love to see how that translates. That should be coming out hopefully any day now. So I've got 3 coming out soon, and then 2 more to be filmed.
And what's on your sort of acting bucket list of like what would
My
you like to
acting
do?
bucket list is
Vertical
so
or horizontal?
I have a smaller vertical bucket list, but there are so many things that I want to do. I mean, honestly, I'm blessed and grateful that I get to do this. I'm shocked that I get to do this. Not because I don't feel like necessarily I deserve to get to do it. I know that it takes a lot of luck. It takes talent, it takes luck, it takes so many factors that are out of our control. And for whatever reason, lately the stars have aligned, and I have gotten to do exactly the one thing that I've wanted to do my entire life. Very blessed. If we just start in the vertical space, there's things that I really want. I really want to do a pirate vertical.
I know.
I want that
We all
so
want
bad.
pirate vertical.
I'm in the process of.
We had so many comments on that post, and so many people going, "Well,
I
I'm working
need
on
this
something
in my life. I'm in the process of writing a pirate vertical just to like try to get one made. I'm about 40 pages in, but like I really want that. I want to do. I want to tell like more. I'm excited for the sort of the what's happening in the vertical space is we're sort of opening up the genres and expanding out our storytelling and telling more complex characters. It's not just the mustache twirling villains and the damsels and the toxic male hero leads that soften at the end. It's no longer that. Even our villain characters are more complicated now. They have motivations, and you're like, oh, she's not entirely wrong. Like, I love that. I love the direction that it's moving in. I literally just had this conversation with another actor about what kind of things I want to shoot in this space, but definitely a pirate vertical is in there. I'm excited for like horror verticals to start happening. Horror movies are so much fun. I don't know, that might be a slightly different fan base, but they're so much fun to shoot. You never laugh as much as you do on those sets. But the camp of this space would really, I think, play well with that.
I think if they can get it right, there's been a few attempts that have been a bit all over at the moment, but if they can get it right, it's the obvious thing to go viral on TikTok and bring a new audience in.
Fair. Outside the vertical space, there's so many things that I'm excited for and hope to do. I mean, I like I said, I just love telling stories. In particular, I really enjoy the genre of sci-fi and historical drama. I don't know. Maybe they're related. Maybe not. Historical drama tells us kind of where we came from and kind of informs where we are, and that I think informs where we want to go, which is sort of the sci-fi aspect. And I think that the possibilities in that genre are so exciting because it's literally infinite.
I have to ask actually, because you give me a fantastic final question. What are your personal favourites then? So your personal favourite TV shows, films, actors, actresses.
Oh, goodness.
What are the ones you would say are kind of totemic for you in your life?
My personal favorite TV shows, films, actors, actresses. Okay. That's so much.
Just everything.
What are your favorite everythings? Yeah. I really admire actors that I think take a lot of different unique roles and just crush it every time. Nicholas Hoult is an actor that I have a lot of respect for because of the breadth of roles that he has done, and how he dives into each one of those characters, and makes it believable and makes it good. I'm really Taron Egerton is another one, who, I mean, he really got his. Sorry?
So versatile.
He's so versatile.
He's insanely versatile.
And he's so talented.
Yeah.
It's stupid. Like he can dance, he can parkour, he can sing clearly. He can act. But I love the roles that he's taken on. There's the blockbuster crowd pleasing, Kingsman kind of vibe, but also There's the much more difficult, let's play a fantasized biography of a living person who's a living legend in Rocket Man. And then there's, he played Eddie the Eagle. He was in Tetris, which is
Eddie the
fantastic.
Eagle.
Tetris is an underrated movie, and if you haven't seen it, you need to watch it. I love it. So that's another one that whose career that I love. I love actresses. I'm a big fan of Michelle Williams. I think that she's just so engaging, whether she's playing Marilyn Monroe or she's doing a musical or she's, I find where she's pouring her heart out in is it Manchester by the Sea, the dramatic one.
And John the Sea, there's a lot of, yeah.
We won't get into that.
Yeah.
But, I don't know. I love actors that really, really, really commit and are not afraid to do the difficult things or to be ugly or to do things outside of their typical wheelhouse. I think that's very respectable, and I hope to be able to have opportunities to do that as well. There are certain directors that I follow religiously and love. Matthew Vaughn is one. I will watch anything that comes out of Marv Studio because it's just, whether it's Stardust, delighting my inner child, that movie is everything that I want in life. Or,
It is. It's a perfect fairy tale, that one, isn't it?
It really
just
is.
joyous.
So you may have seen from Aline's post, my favorite movie ever made ever was The Princess Bride, because it's a perfect film in every way possible. Stardust is the closest movie that made me feel like similar to that, but came out in my lifetime. Absolutely love that film. It has everything that I want to do in film. It to me, like, that harkens back to sort of the studio era when actors would do. They would fight, they would dance, they would sing, they would fence. And that movie has horseback riding and fighting and singing and dancing and romance and magic. It's just a great. I love that.
It's that sense of what movies are for, aren't they?
We need more adventure movies.
In the old view of movies are to bring all that onto a screen.
Not every movie has to bring all those things, but I love the adventure genre. I think it's one of the most underutilized genre. We now have, like, adventure movies kind of stopped when action movies really became more of a big thing, and I love a good adventure movie. Really do. I mean, in when I was working with Sam Fronten on CEO's Playroom, as part of, like, the sort of the getting to know each other / getting to know the genre of verticals, we watched Captain Blood, which is just it's just fun and swashbuckling, but also kind of campy. And we were just talking about how, like, just being in that space makes sense and it works, and I love a good adventure movie.
I think we need something like Romancing the Stone.
Yes.
Or Jewel on the Nile. Absolutely. In verticals. I feel that would work brilliantly.
I think that sort of what would you call Romancing the Stone? It's not exactly a thriller, but it's definitely an adventure movie.
I'd say it's kind of adventure romance.
Yeah. I guess it's a romance.
A lot of double crossing.
I think that would lend itself.
Excellent villains, crocodiles. What more do you need?
Yeah. You've got danger. You've got some shootouts. You've got a lot of romance. That's a good movie. Yeah. I just rewatched that not too long ago. I think that sort of vibe would definitely lend itself well to this space too.
I just want to say thank you so much, because you've been so generous with your time.
Yeah.
And you shared so much just about the process and your projects and about you. So hopefully,
thank
you so much.
Hopefully it was a fun interview for you. I had fun.